Alrighty, I see a few folks starting to file on in. I'm just going to give them a moment. Everybody get in, settle in. We will get rocking and rolling. Of course, for those of you that have been here before, this is a open forum live stream. So don't be shy. If you've got questions all ready for me, get those in right away, please. If not, we'll just give it a minute, let a few folks join, and we will go from there. So, all right, let's get rocking and rolling here. If there's no questions right away, we'll just do I don't know, before market and things like that. So, but again, as I mentioned before, folks, this is an open forum. So if you have questions, please make sure you get those in for me, right? Happy to get those answered. That is really the purpose of this forum, is to get your trade ideas, questions answered, and help you get rock and rolling with the software. Like I said before, if there are no questions, I will do my best to keep this informative and engaging while I wait for questions to come in. So, let's take a look. My relative strength from the open scanner today. We haven't gone down this kind of list in a while here. We starting with AIoT, and we can see here my trusty drawing tool out. Gap up, big strong 5-minute opening bar. There's a lot of chops since then. Fought with the VWAP here. We can see bounce from that, fighting with that 750 level. Making an all-time high right now. I do like to note that. Computer programming services, that's kind of a hot sector, more than less. And earnings in the pre-market here. So an interesting stock here. It's got blue sky above it, as we like to say here, when you're making all-time highs. So it might be something you want to keep an eye on here. And I do note this. We've seen the interest in it wane a bit here as the excuse me, as the day's gone on. Moved into the early afternoon on the East Coast here. But even with that waning interest as far as the volume goes, price is at high of the day right now. So definitely a very interesting stock, very interesting look on that for you there. Let's go down the line here. DONH. So another one, gap up, a lot of volume, a lot of liquidity. What I find interesting on this is we get this gap up and not on a ton of volume here, actually, right? When we get some volume, it sells off with some of that volume. Then we get real movement in volume. That move up, volume pulls out. So there's the price. Went on this run here a couple of weeks ago. Small float, things of that nature here. So you've got to wonder if there's a group out there that keeps trying to run it up or not. All the same, though, we could get back into above this VWAP, closer to for 5-minute bars above that, and get above this $5 level. Maybe it's got a shot at high of the day here. We can see that, it's a lifetime high for this one again, too. So some interesting looks here on those first two stocks. But of course, there is more with this than with AIoT. I would say that VWAP and the $5 level here versus the AIoT, it's at the high of the day, regardless that the volume has faded a bit in that. Anyways, interesting all the same. BFRG Bullfrog Holdings, another gap up here. Good volume, good liquidity. So there's a gap up. Move and pull back. Again, fighting around that VWAP here. So I'll say this has been a theme in these first three stocks here with these gap ups. They've been choppy. They've been real choppy. And that's a reflection of the overall market of itself recently, I would also say. I just want to take a second and pause as we see, a few more folks have joined us. If you have questions, please use the comments panel to interact with those questions. As I always say, cannot answer the questions that are not asked, right? So I always like to continuously note throughout these sessions This is an open forum. It's here for you folks to ask questions on the software and overall market, things of that kind of nature. Not really there for me to just talk at you for an hour. But of course, if no questions are coming in, talk at you for the hour is what I will do. All right, there's DFRG. Let's move on to QNTM. So we got a little bit of an opposite thing here going on. So it's gap down and reversed quite a bit here. Decent volume, okay liquidity, ultra small float, and after making that big spike and move there, pulled on back and kind of just hanging here at that 13 level. So, again, don't want to see that volume come up. Got a little bit of a perk here compared to what we've seen last several volume bars over 5-minute time frame. But right now, it's starting to look like it wants to curl and pin under those. Doesn't mean it will for sure, right? Could run sideways the rest of the day, could do that, could do this, right? But again, you're going to want to see it clear, not only the 13 level, but this area right here. We can see those topping shadows. You're going to want to see it clear there before it would even think about getting over into that 14 range again. Moving on down the line, SOPA. SOPA, Spanish speaking folks. More custom computing services, more craziness here. Small float, and I will say this, while this is a significant move percentage-wise for such a small float, it's not as crazy as it could be. Later interest in it, obviously, right here. Stock has clearly done some reverse splits. I will say this, stocks have personality. And you see that reflected here with these topping shadows all over the place on the daily chart. And as recently as the last few weeks as well, it's one of those ones you don't want to be part of a rug pull on it, right? And then you're buying here, and all of a sudden we're down here, and you're stuck up here with it, right? So just kind of keep that in mind. $3 is a big level. It looms. It ran into it, pulled back. So just keep those things in mind, that if it's something you were interested in, right? Think about your if-then scenarios. Think about the history of this stock right here. JG, Aurora Mobile Limited, so Chinese stock. Another small float, another gap up, massive move up and pull back into the VWAPs, captured that VWAP again. This is interesting here around this 15 level. Definitely interesting around this 15 level. I will say this, the spread on it is not awesome. I'm looking at nearly a 30-cent spread, or 31-cent spread right now. So I'd be keeping that in mind with something like this. Not the most amount of liquidity, considering that the relative volume is on 23.21 right now. So I think that's very important to note here. And again, these topping shadows that are happening here on those daily charts, you just want to keep that in mind. But certainly an interesting looking stock, that's for sure, and an interesting position that it's in right now, fighting with the VWAP. And we can see a little more volume here than has been recently. That's someone just trying to bring it up a little bit to generate the interest in it, or is there genuine interest in it? That is the question we ask. OSS. And again, I'm going to pause another moment, folks. This is an open forum here. Here to answer questions, really, not talk at you, folks. Any questions pertaining to the Trade Ideas platform, whether you're a user and you're trying to figure out how to create a scan, run a back test, compare count windows, price alerts, something with charts, brokerage plus, so on and so forth, please get those questions in for me. If you're someone who's not Trade Ideas subscriber, but you're just here kicking tires, stumbled into this, trying to figure out what's going on, open forum, ask some questions here, right? Welcome any and all questions. Please, please, please. I much prefer these sessions when you folks are asking the questions and driving the content. As per usual, if you are not, I'll continue doing what I'm doing and talking at you for the hour. Anyways, OSS, look, almost a 10 relative volume, but only 600,000 shares, or just shy of 600,000 shares traded on it. So not real interest in something like this. Um, just note that again, gap up here, not on a ton of volume. Get that volume really moving it up here, and the ripcord pulled. A little larger float than the last float of stocks we've seen. By no stretch of any imagination, is a large float at 14.5 million. Came down on the VWAP, bought it, bounced it, but not seeing a whole lot of interest. And what I want to really note with this one here is, these volume bars, while they're large looking, let's remember this thing hasn't even made it to 600,000 shares yet today. And this, we can see this number is just dropping live on us right there at 9.88, right? That was, at 9.98. Slowly tick down here. So clearly the interest has waned in this. But, this is one of those things where you could say, you know what? If it gets above area XYZ, I like it. I want to set a price alert there so I'm getting alerted as that happens. So don't be shy on doing something like that. Keep an eye, keep it forward moving or forward facing on the back end, of course. TAL, what do we got going on here? Theme of the day, gap up, a little more of a gap and go, holding on that 10 level. Again, look, so we got earnings post-market, it looks like tomorrow. Relative volume 11.69. It just moved up on us, 11.71 now. Just shy of 700,000 shares traded here on the day, though. So you want to be careful with that. That's all. You can see the volume is come and gone. Overall, it's more gone than come. You don't want to be the last one of the week holding that, or last one of the day holding that bag. That's all. You want to be in things that folks are trading. Liquidity can be semi-subjective as far as these kinds of things go. But you just want to bear it in mind. That's all. You bear it in mind. Momo trade of the week at 5.757. So we got Momo. Look at that chart and let's see what we got going on here for this week's trade of the week. So China stock, pretty good size float, 271 million in that float. Things I want to note here, we've got this consolidation period, a whoopsie out, back in it, a whoopsie out, back in it, and now we're back out. And so now we ask ourselves, right? We got these two boxes that this price is running. We've got this box down here, and now this box is seeing more action up here, right? Let's see if we can build on that a bit. Got a little work to do with this and this over top of it here. But I will also note this overall, we're down here off the bottom, making higher lows, right? So now if we can take this out and we're making some even higher highs, it might have a little juice in it. Not the overly most traded, but then again, when you're swing trading and not day trading, much different story when it comes to volume and liquidity. Not anywhere near the same ballpark as that. Bid ask on it's good. You got a penny spread on that. You can't get any better than that. To be honest, other when stock's locked, but you don't see that very often at all for a locked stock as far as the spread goes. So yeah, it's an interesting look here from the trade of the week. And dovetail off this, FXI actually doesn't look terrible, right? In fact, the FXI looks kind of good. You would say, Chris, why does the FXI look kind of good? And I'll say, this is why. Let's scroll out and look at a big picture. In fact, let's big picture it like this. Go off on a tangent here since nobody's asking any questions. We gotta hit the Wayback Machine for some of this, right? So, all right. China. Back early in the century, let's call it at this point, right? Because we're almost 10 years past some of this stuff, right? Starting back here in 2016. China, they're up and coming, taking out, for number 2 economy in the world. And then, something happened here in 2016. Well, let's call it 2017, actually. Something happened early in 2017. And through the rest of that next 4 years, that, led China not quite looking like it was. I'll let you folks decide what that item was that happened in this block here over roughly 3+ years. And then, COVID happened, we crashed, everybody crashed, all that stuff like that. And then, all the free money in the world printed and all that stuff like that, and all the markets in the world more than less did that here come out of COVID. But once the recovery happened around other areas of the world, especially in the US, let's fast forward more towards real time here. Once that recovery happened, it was China lagged everything else and really came crashing down, right? Here's where, when they said, this looks interesting, and you would say, Chris, why is that interesting? This is where I would say it's interesting. We're on a weekly chart here, right? And so we got a bounce. And it was without a question, hindsight being 2020, a dead cat bounce, because we spent the next few years of China just grinding down. However, we got this bounce here. We never took out those lows again. And we got this bounce here. And we haven't even taken out that low. So now we are making higher lows, and we are making higher highs now at this point, right? We can make one more higher high here. We'd have a pretty well-defined, what I consider primary trend at this point. For those of you Dow theory folks, primary trends are months and years, secondary days and weeks, and then you have your intraday trends and things like that. So, long story long for China, it does not look nearly as bad as it had been. In fact, one might even say it looks kind of good. And will this continue? I don't know. You don't know. Nobody really knows. Anybody that truly does know ain't telling us. I'll tell you that right now. The people that are telling you, they don't really know. They know as much as everybody else in technical analysis. They know what their trading plan says. Their indicators have told them in the past and how to if then it from there, just like anybody else that is savvy enough in technical analysis for that. So we'll say that this level that it's come to right now, it's a big deal. It's definitely a big deal. We can see that here, right? Definitely a big deal. So anyways, long story long, Momo, trade of the week, Chinese stock, China not looking too shabby. The FXI, which represents your large cap Chinese stocks, the overall China market, the large cap, looks better than the K-Web, which is your Chinese internet stocks here. So this still kind of sloping down significantly enough compared to that. And while, yes, here's a low and higher low and higher low, just not quite the same juice, because here's a high and we took out that high. Really need to make another high here. We really need to take out that 35 level for the K-Web to be a bit more interesting, like the FXI. So anyways, thank you for coming to my TED Talk. And no, I'm just kidding. Any other questions? Any questions, folks? Again, an open forum here, so please don't be shy. Get a question in about the platform or whatever else. We'll continuously beat the drum of I'd much rather answer your folks' questions than just mindlessly talk at you about stuff that, well, any person with a chart could say. All right, anyways, back to it. We talked about PAL, MT, MNTS. This thing's choppy and sloppy and ugly as hell looking. I will note this. Crazy liquidity, crazy volume. 34 million shares traded on this thing. It's interesting. Look at this. Quick volume move that we're likely to take out today, actually, at this point. It's still, I'd say, slightly under, but we're likely to take that out. All these volume moves, we don't see the stock do a whole lot. Definitely has done some reverse splits without any question. In fact, I don't know, maybe it's a reverse split today. It's got this thing up here. All the same, there it is nonetheless. Spread isn't the greatest for a $5 stock, 5-6 cents, kind of wavering back and forth, but there it is, folks. Certainly a lot of interest in that stock based on volume and liquidity. And last but not least, in the top 10 list here for relative strength from open, we got ARBE, small gap up, filled that gap and then some, and really got some juice under it, rejected at that 320 level. I don't know if that's a significant level or not. We could draw a line on that, but I'm not seeing it as a real significant level. Going back here. Yeah, you look at 320 level back here from June of 2023. So yeah, price will touch that a little bit there. 27 million float, nothing crazy. Certainly not large by any stretch of any imagination either. So not as interesting as some of the other stocks we looked at, but not as unappealing as some of the others as well. So, all right, that's the tour around my relative strength from the open scanner. It's still no questions coming in at this point. So, trying to think, what direction do we go, folks? You're all giving me the silent treatment here, so I don't know what direction do we go. We looked at the overall market last Thursday. It's been a day plus since then. We looked at a bunch of sectors. I mean, I guess we could do that again, right? I guess what the heck, right? Sure, why not? Let's look at the overall market. So we still don't have a bear market. We still didn't crash like somebody predicted. But we're not taking off, that's for sure. So we're stuck in this range now. Some whoopsies underneath. It's all-time high back here. Feels like eons, right? Okay. Just not a lot common. Feels like we're in a bit of a wait and see moment for a lot of stuff. Very overall headline driven market right now. I think a lot of the market participants are waiting for headlines to do with all sorts of economic things out there, international more than less, with trade talks and tariffs and all that garbage. 2.0 on all that stuff. So kind of just a wait and see. More than less the same here in the Qs. In the range, whoopsied out of it a few times. Diamonds, Dow Jones 30, and just off all-time highs as well here. With the sell-off that happened, a little more than the rest, but a bounce to equal that sell-off. And so we're stuck up here as far as that goes. One thing I would note is this. The more worry we see, the more selling we usually see in the small caps. That is your all-time high for the small caps there. I'm not saying that this is by no stretch of any imagination moves markets. It's small caps. And in fact, I believe this is the smallest the small caps have ever been in the IWM representing the Russell 2000. But what I would note is this. This 220 level is huge for the IWM. And while we don't need the IWM to make all-time highs in the other indexes, it doesn't hurt, that's for sure. So, the more people are willing to stick around and risk here, the better it looks overall for the market. But, you never know these days. You never know. But again, I think that 220 level on the IWM looms big. So I'd be keeping that in mind for all of that. So again, invite you folks, don't be shy. Get those questions in if you got them for me. If not, all right, what do we do now? Let's look at some of the stuff that's moving here. We talked about PAL, TWLR. Are you interesting? I'm just grinding along here. Lots of liquidity. Not a ton of volume though. Low price stock. Life low. Very interesting. Good one here. So very, very interesting stuff here, to say the least. Really on the move today. And we can see here, volume takes a lull, but not a massive lull, before really kind of shooting up on us here, giving us that push. So definitely an interesting look here, but again, by no stretch of any imagination, a small float given the small price. I'm missing something here. That's key. What else? TIM needs to grind itself higher as well. VNet, again, same idea. Chinese stock, decent sized float. It's been on the march on the daily chart as well here. A lot of volume, a lot of interest in this. I mean, look, no interest, fair amount of interest, big interest, very interesting. More custom computing. All right, very interesting, very interesting. And again, I'm going to continue to invite you folks to ask questions. CRNC. Did we talk about this one? I feel like we did. No, we didn't talk about CRNC. Oh, looks like I had some drawings on this from the past. Wonder what for. I just want to get those drawings. Distractions there. So, all right, CRNC got some earnings that just happened. Quite a move going into earnings with pullback before it actually happened. Information seems to be the new currency these days. AI, blah, 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 blah. So no surprise there. Just kind of grinding itself along, not a large float by, again, any stretch of any imagination. ACB, it's a lead stock, doing some stuff the other day, still doing some stuff today. Let's see what happens with that. Grinding on higher of the day. I guess I suppose a continued positive reaction to earnings. That's the only thing I can figure there. APPS. We talked about this one the other day. So made a move here. Looks like one of my strategies that's in the simulator is trading this right now. Closing order down here where it opened it. Let's see, opened it at 534. So we're underwater on it with the algo. Let's see how that goes. That was one of those ones we talked about last week, how it has gone on a significant run. We got to have the way back machine to see this at this point. We're in 2025. It did in 2020, 2021. There we go. So coming out of 2020, I mean, this thing really jammed itself up over 100 and pulled back and bounce, and just a unbelievable falling knife ever since then. However, here it is, front and center. And we'll see how that shapes itself out the rest of the day here. All right, no questions coming in still. I'm kind of fading on material to go over at this point, but I guess, we'll just go to the old trusty sector and we'll just run them down, right? So natural gas, I don't even know what to say about natural gas at this point. This is why, if you look at the big picture over here, this ETF has had been reset because of decay. What are you going to say about something like this here? It's on the bottom still. Clearly not a bullish environment for natural gas as of right now, regardless of whether around the United States Northeast or Europe or anything like that. But all the same, it is slightly positive for its position range on the year, and obviously it's having its up today. X and E, it's going to be for mining materials, right? Metals and mining materials. Metals and mining. Not one of the stronger sectors. Long term, sure, Just continues to grind it out. We want to draw a trend line like that, working on this channel right here. So, gonna get back to the top of that channel, continue this trend that it's on. Doesn't seem unreasonable at this point. Slightly positive on the year right now. So P is going to be your gas exploration, gas and oil exploration. This thing has not done anything in a very long time. We got to go back to like sometime in 2021. Right. Yeah, 2022. All right, I was wrong. Almost the midway point in 2022. That was the last of it moving out of COVID here, and just really grinding along at this point. Not exactly a terrible looking sector, all things considered. Gas and oil exploration. XLX snuck up the list on us here. It's going to be your steel sector. Again, hasn't really done a whole lot in a long time. We're looking at a weekly chart again, so here's COVID. And really just hasn't done anything since then, since it peaked out. Comes at the top of range, whoopsied out underneath, and it's just really been underneath it for the most part. Some whoopsies up here, getting above it. It's back at the bottom of this range again. So, when people tell you, oh, the market's just straight up all the time, show them things like this, right? Does that look straight up to you? That doesn't look straight up to you. Meanwhile, the steel sector isn't exactly a huge sector as far as things concerned. There are areas that have severely lagged the rest of the overall market. Oil services right here, the OIH. There's not much on curling over at this point. So, it's funny. Some of these sectors, they don't look bad. They just, lag the market. Well, they haven't really sold off. Haven't really done a whole lot of anything. Yes, question. Sorry, I just saw that come in here. I need TI. I'm looking for some pre-built strategies for day trading, which I can use for auto trade. No, there's nothing pre-built for auto trading. Sorry. Auto trading, got to make your own alert windows, back test and optimize that. If you get it to a back tested, optimized point that you feel good about, I would then say run it in the paper trader / simulator for a period of time. And if it looks good there, then you can move to live trading. So we go over some back testing and optimizing if that's an interest to you. So you'd create an alert window. Well, let's show how to create an alert window right from scratch here. So we've got the menu bar up here, right? We'll go to new alert window. And important to understand what an alert window is. An alert window is two-fold scan. You have an alert or an event. Come to the search tab, we can find these items. An alert or an event would be a new high, a new low, a new high ask, so on and so forth. You got all these ones here. Alerts are indicated by these single icons. Green would mean bullish on the alert, like that. Red would mean bearish on the alert, like that. Blue would mean neutral, like these ones here. Oops. Consolidation, high relative volume, 1 minute spikes, so on and so forth. These things are not necessarily bullish or bearish. They're just off, right? So we've got a lot of those with different alerts. When it comes to the automation side of things, you're going to want just one alert. You're not going to want more than one. Some scans, you just do general scanning. You use 1, 2, 3 alerts, and then that's coupled with a filter, right? So the alert has to happen while the filters are met. And with all these filters down here indicated by the dual icons of teal and purple, like that, price and range, different time frames on those ranges, RSI, SMA distances, VWAP distances, different kinds of volume filters, and so on and so forth. And so the idea is for the pathway on this would be to have an idea for a scan, build that as close to as you can based on those items, or based on the items that we provide, and use the search bar here to find us if you're looking for volume, for example. We type volume, everything volume related is there, SMAs, RSI, oops, so on and so forth. We select these items in here. For example, we start with, well, you said day trading scan, so what the heck, let's start with a new high alert. Let's add that alert here. And I select it, I press add alert. Brings me to the select alerts tab, check mark in there. I'm going to get rid of what I had for default. I was just the default that was there. Alt alert. Is that better now? I had the mic maybe a little further away than normal. Let me know if that's better. Moved it real close now. Hopefully that's better. Let me make one more adjustment. All right. All right. Good. That's better. Perfect. So, in the selected alerts tab, or in the alert windows, you're going to have a set of defaults in there. Yours will start off, let's say something like breaking out on volume or something like that for the name of the scan, and it's going to have a bunch of filters and stuff in there. You just go ahead and get rid of those and start to plug in what you want. So, all right, we're going to look for stocks making a new high. I don't know. Let's go with some volume stuff. Let's just say, we want shares traded today. We want to see that it's traded, no less than, I don't know, 575,000 shares, right? That 575 will come back to the search. Maybe you want to see the 1 minute volume. So this is done on a percent basis. This 1 minute volume, 10-day average, looking back. So 100 is normal, 200 2 times, 300 3 times, so on and so forth. Go ahead. And if you have a question on anything in here, what these filters do, what they mean, same with the alerts, you can select it, press help. You'll get a web page that looks like this. And I'll go into some details and some examples and so on and so forth. So in this case, we're going to add that. We're going to add that filter and we'll say, you know what? Let's make sure this thing's kicking. Let's make sure it's 505 times what we're doing over the course of the last minute. And let's just see. Let's go with position in yesterday PLS. So position in range, some great filters here, some of my favorites to build scans with. I want to go position previous day range. I want to add this filter. I want to say, you know what, the stock's got to be above nearly rate at or above yesterday's low. So, or rate at the high, I'm sorry. So with a 99 there because 100 is 100% above the low. What else do we want to look at here? Jeez. Anybody any thoughts? Throw something random out at me. So many filters to choose from. Oh, let's go distance from VWAP. Nah, let's not do distance from VWAP one. We're already above yesterday's. We're already at yesterday's high or above it. Not relative volume. We could always add that. Let's throw that in there. Let's get that a 3 right there. So, and then Castaway, bear with me a moment while I finish this exercise here. So now we've got the scan built, and we'll press OK, and we're going to name it, right? And then name it appropriately, and we'll call, I don't know, above yesterday with volume. There we go. I'm going to press OK. And I'm going to go ahead and save this and share it to the cloud. So anybody that does want this for whatever reason, you're welcome to have it. It's something randomly built, but if you go ahead and copy that link that I'm about to post right there, you can load that scan. And now we'll get to the nitty gritty of the back testing. We're going to right click back test. We got to decide all these things. What time do we want to start the back test? It only back tests during market hours, pre-market or post-market. And so we could say, all right, let's start this thing at 10 o'clock and let's stop it at, I don't know, let's say 3:30. No more alerts to trade after 3:30. And we got to pick a timed exit. Got to have a timed exit. Let's go with the 30-minute exit for now. Risk management. We don't have to have risk management, but let's enable a stop loss. And I don't know. We'll go with a percent. Let's go with a 3% stop loss. And then the advanced tab, we'll pull that all the way out to 61 days. We have roughly 60 to 66 market days of historical data. It bounces back and forth between those numbers because of market holidays. So, we still have, what are those holidays? Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, all that's all in here. So Those market holidays are impacting and taking a few days away from us. We'll run the back test. We're going to get some numbers here. And then we want to start to optimize it to get it to the level that we feel may be beneficial for some automation. Once we get it to that, we would then again put this into our simulator. So I think first exercise, someone's really looking to automate, building alert windows, backtesting, optimizing. Got the optimize tab here. We can optimize by price. We change those intervals. We can go for $1 price. By $1. You got time of day here. Cut out different times of the day here, and then you've got in the other filters every single filter we offer to optimize on that. And again, changing intervals on any of those as you see fit. And we'd see how these play a role by the interval here, profit factors, win percent, average win percent, total trades, and percent there. One thing I'll note is this. You want high profit factors. Win percent isn't nearly as important as that profit factor. I'll circle back to this in a moment here. If people have questions on this, get some questions in, but I want to assist with some other things that came in. So, if you have questions on the back testing, get those in for me and I'll circle to those momentarily. We'll only get to Castle, who's been very patient with me here. How to search for new highs with last 4 months. You could do this. So what would 4 months, let's say 30, so 120 days, right? So this is what I would do with that. I would create an alert window, alert window. With last 4 months. So what I'm going to show you here is how to search for stocks that are making 4-month highs. We would take this new high alert, add that alert, and put a check mark in there. And in this field here, see how it says 52 week equals 365? That means if we put a 365 for 365 days, we'd be looking at stocks making new 52-week highs. So on this, we put 120 days for stocks making a 4-month high like that, because weekends are counted on this. So that's one way to look for stocks that are making new 4-month highs. Outside of that, we don't have specific for 4 months. You can look at position in. We have 3-month range here. We can get 3 months, get dialed in that much. Go 2 months over with 6 month here like that. And those would be really the 2 spots that I would point you to as far as that goes there, Castaway. Now, of course, you have more questions on that. Don't be shy, put those in. Growing relative. We don't have a way to say growing relative volume like that. Sorry, just relative volume on the day here is all you got. Sorry, come back into the configure there. Come on. Here we go. So, we just have this here so you can look for, average daily volume over 3 months, 10 months, 5 months on those shares there. And then we got the relative volume there, but our relative volume filter looks back 30 days as a ratio. So 1 is normal, 2 is 2 times, 3 is 3 times, 4 is 4 times, so on and so forth. That's really, what we have as far as that goes. So no way to do it's what you're looking for there. I'm on the volume side of things, Castaway. I do apologize. Sergio. They're a customer. Nope, no EMAs. Sorry, we do not have EMA data at all. Nothing we can do for that. Of course, do I wish we had EMAs? I do. I wish we did, but we don't. Just SMAs. We've got these crossover alerts for SMAs here. I'm remiss if I don't tell you that these crossovers, they work with 2 things that you got to keep in mind. 1, the candle needs to close, and 2, they have a built-in volume confirmation. So until the candle closes and the volume qualifier in it is met, you don't get the alert on it. So they don't come as timely as people would like very often. There's no way to change any of that. However, I do have a workaround for building crossovers. And what I would do is this. If I was looking at an SMA crossover. Also, just for the record, well, it's not exactly the same. We do have an 8 SMA. You may find that to be a substitute. Um, but what I would do if I was building a crossover is this. Let's just build, let's say, an 8 SMA on a 5-minute chart. So I'm going to add that and select it there. I'm going to add that filter. I'm going to bracket pricing around. It's going to be minus 0.15 and 0.15. So the stock can't be more than that below it. It can't be more than that above it. And then I would take the next SMA I'm trying to cross over, and we'll go with the 5 period. On the 5-minute, we'll add that filter. We're going to do the exact same thing, minus 0.15 and 0.15. All right, so now we're bracketed there, and then we're going to want an alert that works for this here. Oops. And in cases like this, I'd be looking at I'd go with a 5-minute high for an alert. Oops, we got to get back off that. Filters and alerts. There we go. Select that, add that, and check mark there. And that's how I would build a crossover. You might consider some other alerts to add to it. We've got the running up family. We should call it the running family. And, basically whatever bullish alerts exist, there is a bearish mirror to it too. So if we were crossing down, we obviously want the downs here. Crossing up, we want the ups here. So maybe I'd use like the 5-minute high and the running up, maybe the running up intermediate, depending on how fast the stock you're trying to find, like that. And in a case like this, having having 2, 3 different alerts, that would be reasonable, I would say, for trying to catch those. Let me know, Sergio, if you have more questions on that. If anybody has more questions on the back testing, get them in. I'm happy to go over more of that. If anybody has any more questions on the scan building stuff, please get those in. Of course, I'm happy to go over that. Castaway, specifically, what does the strength indicator, TI strength indicator, look for? It's looking for a few different, it's all technical analysis. It's looking for position in lifetime range, position in, I want to say 1 month, maybe position in 3 months as well. I think those are the big ones. It's got to be, there's some SMAs involved in it as well. What all those are and what the numbers are exactly on all that. A, I don't know. And B, it's under lock and key anyways. But I did not build it myself. So it's looking for stocks that are up over X amount of time on a few different time frames. I believe there is daily, something weekly, something monthly, and lifetime range. The exact time frames, though, under lock and key, with the exception I can tell you lifetime and daily for sure. What scans do I recommend for swing trading? So I have, my personal stuff. I'm more of a swing trader. I prefer swing trading. Just kind of my cup of tea here. So I've got some scans I can share with you, and I'll go over them real fast. Bear with me. First, I'm going to load a link here on my scan, share, copy. All right, got that in there for you. So that link there, that's to this scan over here. I'm going to put this back in top list form, not tree mat form. What I did here is I'm looking at stocks that are $11 or higher, relative volume of 1, trade at least 750,000 shares on the day, 75% above the low of a 20-day range. So the idea here is I'm trying to find stocks that are breaking out over 20 days, trying to climb out of no man's land. And then they're 75% above the low of today. And I don't usually start looking at the scan much until, I don't know, let's say 3 o'clock or afterwards. I do a lot of looking at the stocks in the scan after hours or very early pre-market. I'm trying to find things that look strong on the longer and shorter time frame that can carry momentum in the next couple of days. So we go over a few of these and give you an idea of what I'm really trying to look for. So CLF, is that going to be something I like? Nope, I don't like CLF. I'm not going to bore you with the details. I don't like something. No, oh, you know what? Hold on. I'm going to go back to a daily chart, Chris. Maybe I do like CLF on a daily chart, not a weekly. All right, you know what? This isn't the worst I've ever seen on a daily chart for me to kind of almost like. We bottomed out here and got this kind of horseshoe up. So I'm looking for stuff like that. PBYN, it's all right, but it's a little more volatile than I'd like to be as far as a swing trade would go. But I'm not terribly opposed to this, especially, looking at this level here. We've kind of held through this chop and mess. We're fighting with that level here. And that's lifetime highs right there. So, I like this a little more than I would normally like a chart that looks like this. Because, I'm going to maybe come across some stuff that's really spiked today. I like this. I'd love to see another consolidation day or two, but, we've got this nice move here. Seeing consolidation push up on this level here. I kind of like that on that. And I'm going to come across stuff I won't like, I promise. So what I do, and not enough data here for me to really make any kind of decision on anything as far as that goes. So not a fan. I want to like it. China though, I'm always afraid of holding China stocks overnight, especially right now. We get above this level here. This is consolidated nice. It's got that kind of trains pulling out of the station look. Good amount of room up to there. Here's a low, higher low, higher low. We got these highs. So taking out this level here, real big deal getting that going. I do like that chart. Just, China's all. My concern is just the gap down on China with overnight. That's my only caveat with it. It's a buyout, so obviously it's irrelevant. Not overly crazy about this chart. Let's go on one more or two more stocks. Then we're going to look at another scan that I like. The chart's kind of okay. Just, it's a PIMCO dynamic income fund, so it's probably some kind of a dividend from ZIM. No, I'm not crazy about that. CRV. I do like this chart. This does happen to be on the swing picks too. I do like this chart. This $20 level is a big deal. If we can get up above it. Also, I just want to note that this is not a gap down on this. This was a symbol change here that happened back there. It's not a gap down, so clear there. That's a nice looking chart. Overall trending up from this symbol change going live, whatever it was. Pushing up into this level. Yeah, forget it really captures 21 level. I think this thing can get itself going, especially with 23% short float. So that's interesting there. So that's one scan that I look at. Let me share another one here. Load from cloud. This scan here, there's two different things I do with this scan. Let me share it first, and then we'll go over it, and I'll share it. The way I use it, I think, will be kind of obvious because I'm looking for stocks at or near all-time highs. So what we did here is, and there's some caveats behind it being near all-time highs, right? So let's look at filters. It'll be $8 or above, relative volume of 1, and trade at least 1 million shares on the day, and it's got to be 85% above the low of its lifetime range or within 15% of its high, right? And so one thing I do with this scan is this. Is there a lot of stocks on here? A lot of stocks on here. A lot of stocks near their all-time highs. That's not bearish. That's bullish, right? Then, we go through and look at these items here. And the other thing I like to do with this is not only there's a ton of stocks here and they're at or above their lifetime highs, and that makes it feel kind of bullish. What are the stocks that are here? Is there a general theme? Is there a ton of energy here? Is there a bunch of transportation here? Is there a lot of financial sector here? Is it spread out across different things, right? And that kind of points us to where strength is or rotation could be happening into, right? So twofold scan with the data that's here, for me anyways. And then, I start going through charts like anybody else, hard to go chasing something like that, right? Gold, I know that's a gold stock, and gold just continues to kill it. Mobile communication sector has been on fire for years, right? Some more gold here, right? More gold right here. So clear about all these things. You start to memorize tickers after doing this long enough here. Also, I believe that's more gold. I believe that's more gold. Yeah, and I know that's more gold right there. This is also gold. So I think I made my point about where are we looking right now. We're obviously looking at gold. Mining. This has to do with mining gold. So again, trying to hammer home the point here while I'm doing the scan. And, we find stuff like, well, look at, Walmart doing this job to hold the market up here, continues to defy gravity in the face of all that is bad. Meta, this thing has been on the scan for a long time. It's a hated stock, but it's weird. People hate making money for some reason. I don't know. I care less about the company or the people running it as long as I'm making money. Philip Morris, is this Philip Morris? Philip Morris, and still selling cigarettes, right? Positive reaction to earnings, so on and so forth here. So that's what I'm doing here with this HIMS. I made mention last night to someone that very sorry I did not hold this stock. I was going to, and I didn't. That's life, right? So those are a few things I could point you to there. Castaway as far as swing trading goes. There's also, if you're not familiar yet, let me get rid of this. Let me bring this over. You go to New, go to Market Explorer. You get a window that looks like this. Go ahead and right-click that window, select Strategy, and you got most of this stuff is on daily and weekly time frames. So that would be swing trading as far as I'm concerned. BB's always in the eye of the scan holder, of course. We've got a ton of stuff in here that you could look at. Yeah, a lot of stuff in here. You just don't, unless you have the add-ons, you don't have access to the AVWAP, and you don't have access to the Go No Go unless you have those add-ons. So that is my short and skinny on the on swing trading there. And of course, you could build your own stuff. You come into, I think top lists are a little nicer for swing trading personally. You don't need a timestamp alert. You're just looking at going through a list of stocks, and so create your own top list and come through here on the filters and search for the things you want, ranges, position ranges, distances from VWAPs and SMAs and all that stuff, all kinds of volume that you could get in here that it's relevant to you, X amount of shares traded, short float if that matters to you, all those things like that, right? All available here, 300 data points, give or take. And as I always say, do we have everything someone's going to look for? No, but we got a lot. You don't have to know programming, right? You select it and put the values in here. So you don't have to be a coder. You have to understand the math behind all these things or anything like that. We do approach the top of the hour. So anybody have any questions before we shut this down for the afternoon here? Please get those in for me now. If not, I'll begin to kind of auctioneer's count and wind us down here. We'll stick around for an extra moment or two if there are any questions to come in, of course. All right, no questions coming in. I'm counting off the auctioneer in my head. Those that maybe joined us for the first time, do this every market day at noon Eastern. You get a different personality most of the days here. So you had me today. You may see me again this week, but you see another few gentlemen here throughout the rest of the week as well. Different perspective, different looks, different market flavors, different scanning, different experiences, all those things like that. So, highly recommend coming back, joining us. You're not in our free traders room, 100% free to everybody, everywhere. You offer this free traders room. You don't need a subscription or anything like that. You don't need a credit card, nothing like that. Just an email address to get in there. There's a link for that there. And I will also share a link on the Twitter side of things. There, and bear with me. Let me get one more link in here. So folks are welcome to join us in the traders room as well. Area that runs it, true professional. Always great stuff, always great content from him over there. Nobody's telling anybody to buy, sell, hold, or anything like that. Just talking ideas, scans, markets, stuff like that. So, all right, folks, I thank you all very, very kindly for joining me, and we will see you again in the not too distant future. Take care, everybody. Have a great week.